recent video where I opened up about my insecurities and told you about the struggles that I've recently been facing, I asked you guys if you guys wanted to see more personal content where I go more in depth and really open up and talk very honestly about my feelings. And you guys were all so enthusiastic and motivating and just so, I don't know, overwhelmingly sweet and kind. I already knew you guys were the best, amazing. I am genuinely so grateful that I have you guys as my internet besties. But the responses on that video were really amazing, and they definitely encouraged me to expose myself a little bit more and, yeah, I don't know, be a little bit more truthful and honest and kind of like naked online. That sounded really weird. I don't mean actually naked, I just mean like opening up my soul to you guys. But I thought it would be a good idea to get started with my modeling journey because it's a subject that I still to this day get so many questions about. All of you guys seem to want to know why I quit full-time modeling, how I became a model, what my struggles were, my insecurities. I think that some of you guys know, if you have been following my journey, that modeling was definitely very hard for me. So yeah, I definitely have a really, how shall we put it? I definitely have an opinion about modeling. So yeah, let's just get into it. By the way, stay hydrated, really important. Big tumblers like this, it's a lifesaver for me. Okay, let's get into the story. So as a kid, I always loved being in front of the camera. I remember my grandma making videos of me. I would vlog already as like an 8-year-old girl. I didn't even know what vlogging was, but basically I was always in front of the camera. I loved having my picture taken. I wanted to be like a singer or an actress. I didn't care what it was as long as I could like perform and entertain people. I was that kind of kid. But at the same time, I was also a really insecure kid and quite introverted. So it was a weird combination, but I guess I'm still kind of like that. My personality type is also INFJ. So maybe if you have the same personality type, you can relate to me a little bit. But yeah, that was me growing up, and constantly people would actually ask me, oh, why don't you become a model? Wouldn't you be interested in that? And I think people especially said that because I was really skinny growing up. I even got bullied for being so skinny, so it wasn't always something that I was proud of. My primary school teacher made a poem about me, and I can still remember this so vividly. Every single child in my class got a poem about how well of a student they were, how smart they were, and all I got is that she thought I looked like a model in the classroom. And I was just so devastated by that because, don't get me wrong, it is really amazing when people compliment you on your looks, and I never want to take that for granted. That's really sweet of her, but it kind of struck me that my appearance was the only asset that I had. I felt like my looks were the first thing people looked at instead of what I had to offer. So I kind of put that dream aside of becoming an actress and a pop star. I can't sing and I can't act, so probably for the better. And I focused on my studies. So then fast forward to when I was in university, and I was really doubting what to do next because I was studying French language and culture, which is basically a history and literature major, and I liked it, but I didn't really love it as much as I thought I would. And I also felt like I was growing up so super fast. Time was going by so quickly. So I knew that if I wanted to make a change in my life, I had to do it fast. I also started YouTube, and I started doing Victoria's Secret model workouts, and people would comment, are you a model? Go start modeling. So I actually approached different types of agencies in the Netherlands where I'm from, and I constantly got declined because I'm 170 centimeters, which is 5'7", I believe. So it's not that tall, especially here in the Netherlands. People are way taller than me. So yeah, they always were like, no, you're not tall enough, you're not our type. And I was kind of discouraged, but I kept going because I felt like this was my only chance, and I was already getting so old for the industry. That's how it works, and I already knew that. So then I approached more agencies, and one of them picked me to come to their agency and do a casting. And they were really sweet to me. They immediately got me on board, and I was so super excited. So then they called me and said that I needed to go to Paris, which was a dream come true because, like I said, I studied French language and culture, so I already had a connection with France, especially with Paris, and to be able to live there in like this model apartment, that was a dream come true. And from that point on, I was like, okay, I'm super dedicated, I'm gonna do this. So me and my mom went to Paris for the casting because I was supposed to be with an agency there, so I needed to do another casting to see whether or not I was a right fit. And the casting went really well. Everybody was super sweet, just like in my first agency, and people were really enthusiastic. So then I think 1 month later, or like a little bit later, I went all by myself to move to Paris. I packed all my things and I planned to live there for the upcoming month, which was September, so it was Fashion Week, and I was just really excited because this was really my first modeling experience. I had done shoots before in the Netherlands, also a commercial for L'Oreal, for example. So I did some big things, but I felt like Paris was going to be my breakthrough and I was all excited. You have to understand, I was still like super young and innocent, and I of course knew that it was a really competitive industry, but I still had such high hopes because I was just fueled with that excitement. So I got to Paris with my hopes up all the way here, and I left with my hopes up all the way there. And that is because when I arrived in Paris, I was all alone in this super dusty apartment. The water was literally black. That's how long it hadn't been used. And there were like rooms with bunk beds. I grew up as an only child, so I was like all afraid, like, oh my god, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And then this other Dutch girl arrived, Daphne, great girl, I love her. And together we were just sent to a bunch of different castings without real training, without preparation. And there, after the shock of being in an apartment and in a different place and just in a different country and everything like that, my dreams were really shattered because the first thing the agency said to me was that I didn't look good, that I needed to change my clothes, that I needed to buy a different outfit because this looked ridiculous. Whereas I had put on the exact same outfit as I did in the first casting because I thought, okay, they like it, so I'm gonna, you know, wear this again. And then I had a couple of other sets that were a little bit similar to that. And I didn't have a lot of money back then. I was just a student, so I didn't have a bunch of clothes with me. Also with YouTube, I didn't make money yet. So I was there on the first day. I already needed to spend all my money on clothes. And I remember being in Zara, and everything that I tried on and showed the agency was not good enough. And I know for some people this might not seem like such a big deal, but I was immediately so insecure because I was like, okay, my own agency doesn't even like me. Is this a sign that I'm not pretty enough? And then you live in this model apartment, which is basically like a huge dorm room with I don't know how many girls, like 10 different other girls. And I remember feeling so devastated because I constantly would compare myself to the other girls, and we would all get sent out to castings together. So, you know, we were living together, but it was also a competition who would get the job. And we would go through the entire city of Paris with our metro card, going from casting to casting, where casting directors weren't at all very nice. They would just tell you straight up in your face that you were ugly, too fat, too skinny, too this, too that. I obviously really loved working out, and I loved working out back then. So they told me that because I worked out so much, my butt was too big and my thighs were too large, and they asked me, can you stop working out, which I thought was ridiculous because that was the only thing that was keeping me sane. But then on the other hand, my roommate, she was not skinny enough. Mind you, she was very, very skinny and she needed to work out more. I was driven to the point where in Paris I didn't eat at all properly. Like, I would only have these really, really tiny meals. I would barely snack. I lost so much weight. I know why I didn't get casted, because I didn't look good at all, because I was just feeling so miserable all the time from the constant rejection. And I feel like a lot of people talk about the industry and talk about the success stories, but there are so many young, innocent, insecure girls like me who are really struggling in that industry. And you have to know that 99% of that work is rejection. You constantly will hear that you're not their type, that you're not good enough, and you have to be really strong in order to put on this mask and think through yourself, okay, it's not me, it's them. They just don't look for somebody like me, they look for somebody like her. It's not me, it's not my personality. But me, coming from that background of constantly wanting to prove myself and prove that I was more than just a face, I was really shocked to see that they didn't even like want to talk to me. They just looked at me and it was done. I know I kind of could have expected that, but it was still a huge shock. And then I did book a job. I did do a cover story for a French magazine, and I was on 2 covers, which was really amazing, an amazing experience that I would never forget. But basically, all I'm gonna say is I didn't earn anything from being in Paris, because the cost of living, the cost of your food and your clothes and everything, the amount you make with a job is so small, and also the way you're treated. Like makeup artists, hairstylists, they will pull on your hair, they will work on you with 5 people at a time, tugging your face. Because I speak French, I would hear makeup artists and hairstylists constantly complain about me, like her skin is ugly, we should change up her hair, it's way too thin, she doesn't have long enough eyelashes. And I'm not saying that it happens with every single shoot, because I've also met amazing people that are wonderful and kind and patient, but most of the time it was just like wait, because constantly during castings you have to wait for hours, sit on the street in the cold, they don't let you in, you need to be in the rain, you need to walk, you don't know what time you get brought in, and then when you're there on a casting or a shoot, it's rush, and they want to put you in like 10 different outfits in 1 minute, and it's stressful. And I'm not saying by any means that it's a hard job, because there are way harder jobs out there, and I do realize that, but just coming from my perspective, it wasn't at all as glamorous as I once thought it was. I still was really captivated by the whole industry and the whole, you know, photography aspect of it, the artistic aspect, the fashion aspect of it. I loved seeing myself in clothes and getting myself transformed and play a character, because that's what you need to do when modeling. But there were constant disappointments, promises that weren't made. People would promise you a job and then it wouldn't go through. They would promise you payment, but then you didn't get paid. Photographers would go and shoot with you, but then you did not get the pictures whatsoever. So you basically spent a whole entire day working for nothing. Those kind of things happened. And I think the worst part was the criticism in Paris, because it was really harsh, especially because it was Fashion Week. So yeah, that was really difficult to deal with for myself. And then I got sent to Cape Town, which I was really excited for, because as you guys know, I'm a huge coconut girl, beach and ocean and everything. And that was also definitely very hard. One, because of the culture shock, because there's so much poverty in Cape Town. It's insane. I saw people laying on the street basically dead. Model friends of mine who I lived with got robbed on the street, held at gunpoint. People got choked because they were wearing gold necklaces, and I constantly had the feeling that I was being chased by men. There were creepy men all the time coming up to me, pretending to be photographers. Luckily, my boyfriend was there with me, so I kind of had some protection. And when he left, I basically hid in my model apartment and didn't leave my door, only to do shoots, which I would do with a cab, and I wouldn't leave the door to do any fun activities because I was feeling so unsafe. So this might not seem like it's a problem with the modeling industry per se, but it is, because we were sent to the most dangerous locations in like warehouses, very far from the city. Also in Cape Town, the payments were really low, so you would work for days and days and days, didn't get paid. Basically, they would always say that it was an honor to work. So most of the time you are doing it for free, because if you don't do it for free, then there are 20 other girls in line that look exactly like you with brown hair and blue eyes, and they will do the job for free. You shouldn't complain. You're a model. You should be lucky that you're here doing this commercial, that you're doing this catwalk show, that you're on the cover of this magazine. But yeah, it's not, because I'm spending all my time here and I'm spending money to get here, to look presentable, to buy myself food, to live, to pay my rent, my bills, you know. You can't just work for free all the time, obviously. So that was really hard. And especially what was really hard on me is just because you are only booked for your appearance, because people look only at your face and your body, you get the feeling that you're constantly not good enough, because there's always somebody that's prettier than you. With castings, you're in a room full of the most beautiful people ever, and I felt so small, I felt so insignificant, and it was just not the best time of my life. But I am very grateful for it, because I learned so much from my modeling experience. First of all, I learned that modeling wasn't my passion, especially not to do full-time. I want to be heard. I want to be involved. I want to be there and speak my truth and raise my voice and raise awareness and be there as a person, not just as a face. So whilst I was modeling in Paris and Cape Town, I would vlog, and I would prefer that because I could show my personality and I wasn't just this doll or this hanger that was just basically there to show clothes. I was a person. I'm SanneVander. And I realized I love photography, I love filming, but maybe not so much when other people have a vision of me and I'm just one little puppet that they can control and that they place in certain directions. And yes, during some shoots you're literally put in positions like this and you need to stand still and basically like you don't have any creative input whatsoever. So I realized that this is my passion. YouTube is my passion. And yes, I love to do modeling from time to time. I still do shoots. I walked Amsterdam Fashion Week. I'm still doing great, huge things, which are milestones and accomplishments, but people book me now because I'm SanneVander, not because I'm a girl with blue eyes and brown hair. And I think that's also where people get confused, because if you see Bella Hadid or Kendall Jenner or Romeo Stripe, they are booked for a campaign because of their name, not just because of their face. And that's a huge difference, because most models that are not that 0.1% that you see on television and on social media all the time, they are just a number. Most people that you work with, photographers, etc., they don't know your name. At castings, they just say, oh, number 662, come in. Okay, you're not what we're looking for, leave. And that's one of the reasons why I know by now that I don't want to do that full time and that I don't want to be involved in that all the time. Also because there are so many horrible things that happen in the industry, like sexual assault is a big subject that fortunately I didn't have to deal with, but I know a lot of people go through in this industry because you're so vulnerable and because so many other people want the same exact job that you are doing. You're kind of in a disadvantage if you're not a household name, because they make you feel like you're worthless and they can literally trade you in for anybody, which is true. But I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying, but like they know you're just a face and a body, and they know that they can get so many other people that if they treat you poorly, they aren't bothered by that. Like if you're going to complain, they would just throw you out. So yeah, that's just something I don't want to stand behind. I also feel like the constant pressure of having to lose weight is not at all beneficial for your mental health. I was struggling so much with my body and with my self-image. Okay guys, Editing San and RJ here. I do want to say that in this video it might come across as if modeling was only super horrible and miserable and as if my experience wasn't fun at all, which is not the case. I just wanted to highlight the hardships that I had faced and the insecurities that I had whilst modeling, because I wanted to shine a light upon an industry that is often glamorized, and I want to help young girls out that want to get into modeling. And these are things that I wish I had known before getting started. But I do want to say in this video that I think it's really important that I also talk about my gratitude and the fact that I've been able to experience all this is amazing. Don't get me wrong, modeling has taught me so much, has brought me so much. I got to travel the whole world. I got to meet the most interesting people. I've met some of my closest friends through modeling. Maika, one of my best friends, is a photographer, and working with her is so delightful. She's always my hype girl. So whenever I work with her, I feel super comfortable. Walking Amsterdam Fashion Week was a dream come true, and the whole team, including the makeup artist and the hairstylist, were so lovely. The whole vibe was amazing, and it's one of my best experiences ever. Also, the L'Oreal shoot that I talked about in the beginning is probably in my top 5 most special moments of my entire life, because I love doing that shoot so much. So I do want to say modeling also had its advantages, and sometimes you were even invited to have dinner for free, or we would get free Gymshark clothes, and those are all small little things that are amazing and that I will forever be grateful for, you know? It's just that now I can finally say, been there, done that. I've experienced it. I'm grateful for my past, but now it's time for me to shine and to focus on what I truly love the most, and that is this content creation, not just modeling. So yeah, I'm happy that now I can do something creative, still with photography and film, but now I've found my own voice in that, and that just makes me really happy. So yeah, that was my experience with modeling. Just some tips for those of you who want to model, because I know I'm gonna get a lot of questions about it. So just some tips. First of all, find a good agency. That is so important, an agency that you vibe with. I think that was one of my biggest problems, that I felt like my agencies everywhere around the world, maybe they did believe in me, but I felt like they didn't, and that's not a good feeling to have. Secondly, make sure that you don't go into modeling with an empty wallet, because it will cost you a lot of money in the beginning, even though your agencies will promise you it doesn't. Just like with a lot of careers, you have to invest not only in clothes and, you know, skincare and all that kind of jazz, but also your transportation, your diet, your gym membership, your rent, because you're probably gonna be abroad. I don't know where you guys live, obviously, but there aren't that many fashion hubs. There are only a few in the world, so if you don't live in that particular city, you have to move out and you have to pay rent. So do realize that coming into it. Thirdly, don't get played by photographers. Sometimes, not generalizing, but especially men will pressure you in doing things that you're not comfortable with. I remember being on a shoot in Cape Town, and this photographer was constantly pushing me to get topless on the camera, and I almost felt like it wasn't okay to say no, because I was shooting lingerie, so it was already kind of like fragile. And luckily, eventually I said, no, this is too much, I don't want to do it. But I know a lot of girls are afraid to say no, and they just continue because they feel like they won't ever get booked, or they are not gonna make a career out of it if they say no. But just trust me, say no, because you are gonna regret it later, and it's not the end of the world if you say no. So just say no, call your agency or people that you trust, or your parents or whatever, if you ever feel uncomfortable, because that's really important. And then last but not least, only go into modeling when you feel really secure about you, yourself, your personality, your appearance, and especially your body and your weight, because you will constantly get critiqued about it, and it's inevitable that they will talk about it. So if diet and working out, etc. is a sensitive subject for you, know that that is going to be a very big part of your job. People will literally talk about you as if you're not there in a room, so they will measure you and then say, oh, that's like 2 centimeters too big, like we don't need her, low, she doesn't even fit in those pants, you know? You have to deal with that kind of critique, and I couldn't. I'm just way too sensitive, and that's just on me. The industry was clearly not made for me, but if you're the same, know that. And then I think if you know all that and you still want to do it, and you're strong and you have this dream, then go for it, because I believe that you can achieve everything that you want to. And even if people complain and have stories like mine, don't let that discourage you. Just be aware. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys liked this video. I'm sorry if it was too rambly or too long. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.